All right, let's welcome our next fighter making her way to the cage, Jessica Pryor.
Be you here. The women are here to fight now at the University of Mixed Martial Arts in this 135-pound bout between Jessica Pryor and Yumi Matsumoto. 28-year-old Pryor makes her way to the cage now. She stands 5 feet 7 inches tall, training out of the UFC gym in Rosemead. An orthodox fighter with 1 win and no loss. Now that 1 win a bit misleading. This is not her second time in combat. She's a very well-schooled pancration fighter as well.
Pancration is always exciting to have in the cage. I think the only difference the fighters need to watch out for is pancration fighters might have a bigger tendency to drop their hands a little bit since they only have to worry about body shots in pancration as opposed to the head shots that come in MMA. But she has good striking, she understands distance well, and puts good combinations together. And we know that Yumi is very aggressive, so this is going to be a really exciting fight to watch these ladies kind of go at it.
One thing about Jessica Pryor, you mentioned those combinations. She has a really fantastic amount of hand speed and puts together not just good combinations, but a strong variation of attack, going high, going low, right, mixing in those kicks.
Well, she is the team member of our alumni Letha Laura, who is a pancration medalist, and so is Jessica. She was a gold medal winner at the 2012 World Pancration Championship in Greece. So these ladies have been putting it to each other in training camp, and I don't think Jessica is going to be at all afraid of Yumi's aggression and Yumi's forward style.
Yeah, that's big. Jessica definitely experienced. She's training with a lot of talented people there with that pancration team. Not to mention some recent experience she got back in Las Vegas.
Yeah, she just tried out for the Tough 18 with Ronda Rousey and Misha Tate as the coaches, which we all know is the first time they've had female coaches, and that's really exciting to see the ladies finally getting the same amount of respect that the guys get in the training camps and on such a huge format as the Ultimate Fighter TV show.
One thing Jessica mentioned was that what she saw in those fights was the level of experience that she was competing against. She had really never competed with people who had that level of mixed martial arts experience before.
Absolutely. They're not bringing in tin cans into the tough house. And I think there are so many ladies in the sport right now that it's not an anomaly that we have women that are well-rounded, well-trained fighters. It's not, a couple years ago, it was really exciting when there was a woman like that, but now the pool's getting deeper. And it's not just good enough to be a female fighter who's competent. You've got to be a good fighter, regardless of your sex.
Well, Jessica Pryor definitely has her credentials. On top of what we mentioned so far, in 2008, she was invited to the Olympic trials for the national Taekwondo team. She's been in international competition in Taekwondo since she was 6 years old. So again, right here in an amateur fight, in her second amateur fight, here is someone who clearly isn't a tomato can of any kind.
Absolutely. This is not somebody who's coming into the cage and is worrying about cage jitters for the first time. I would personally be worried about her kicks. She's a Taekwondo fighter. That's what I'd be looking out for. Not so much the punches, which might be deadly, but I'd be watching out for those kicks personally.
Absolutely. Now, with Yumi being a big clinch fighter and having a lot of wrestling, it'll be interesting to see how much those kicks come out in this fight.
Sure.
Her opponent making her way to the cage, Yumi Matsumoto.
And her opponent in the red corner, 37-year-old Yumi Matsumoto. This is her second time here with the U of MMA. Her last time in March of this year, a win against Pamela Venegas in a really, really impressive fight. If there's one thing we do say about Yumi consistently, she's a wonderfully aggressive fighter.
She's amazingly aggressive. She has no fear coming forward, and she was throwing those overhand rights like it was going to save her life. And you know what? It did. Talking about teammates, we talked about how Jessica was teammates with Lethal Laura. Yumi now has the luck to be teammates with Brooksy the Bear Bear and Erica Newsom, who we've seen in this cage many times do some amazing damage with their strikes. So I think that is only going to help Yumi's striking game.
Brooksy Bayard, of course, being, I believe, our UMMA female champion.
Does she hold the? I don't believe I don't believe we have a title holder right now.
Well, if we have one, it probably should be Brooksy.
I agree.
Not to mention Erica Newsom recently turned pro within the last year.
And she has been completely keeping to her standard of being aggressive and throwing down strikes on her opponent. She had a bit of an unlucky fight in her last fight, but I think she is going to come back and show the world what we've seen here at the U the last couple years.
Yumi, much like her teammates in Brooksy and Erica, is a big bull rush of a fighter. She comes forward, bites out of that mouthpiece, uses those punches to get inside.
Absolutely.
And then it's Randy Couture all the way, dirty boxing.
Absolutely.
Mostly up against the cage.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Our next fight is scheduled for 3 2-minute rounds in the women's 135-pound division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a strike fighter. She comes to the cage with a record of 1 win and no losses. She stands at 5 feet 6 inches tall and weighed in at an even 135 pounds, representing the UFC gym in Rosemead from Sacramento, California, Jessica Pryor. And her opponent across the cage, fighting out of the red corner, a mixed martial artist. She comes to the cage with a record of 1 win and no losses. She stands at 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighed in at 135 pounds, fighting with Boss Rutten's Elite MMA and Muay Thai Academy of America from Canoga Park, California, Yumi Matsumoto. Not in charge of the action, Big John McCarthy.
Big John McCarthy calling the action here for this 135-pound bout between Jessica Pryor in the blue corner and Yumi Matsumoto in the red corner. Round number 1, it starts here. Both fighters come out quickly. Jessica taking the center of the cage, and we saw that kick, big high kick with the left, a jab, a right cross, a jab. Jessica's just pouring it on. Yumi really showing her toughness, taking those strikes early.
Yeah, and I don't think Jessica's disappointing with those Taekwondo kicks that we were talking about earlier. She's bringing them in and bringing them in strong, which I think might be messing with Yumi's striking game a little bit.
Now here's the big question, Jessica being so successful so far. We just saw that big front kick a moment ago. You gotta wonder if she should be coming in tight here with a powerful grappler like Yumi. But here we go, left high kick, right punch, rights and lefts. Yumi hanging in there, so really showing that toughness.
Yeah, I think Yumi needs to watch out for keeping her eyes closed during the flurry, because that is really taking her off of her game a little bit. But she's not backing down, which, to her credit, is probably going to help her through this round.
That international quality Taekwondo work really showing so far from Jessica Pryor.
Jessica is staying incredibly calm and really controlling the action, which with her pedigree and fighting isn't too much of a surprise.
Now, one thing we can't forget, Yumi Matsumoto has been through adversity before. She is really good at keeping the energy. You know, you can see she's still not afraid. She's coming forward. We want to wonder, how much gas does Jessica Pryor have in the tank, and might this change in the later rounds with Yumi able to really stay in there and be tough?
Absolutely. Yumi will keep coming. She will keep punching. Sometimes it's not going to look pretty, but it won't stop her from doing it.
So far this round, all Jessica Pryor. She comes out and resets.
If I'm Yumi, I might try and go to the ground. Yumi has a really strong, and here she goes. Yumi has a really strong jiu-jitsu background, and that's where I'd want to be, up against somebody who has a superior striking history.
Yumi nearly able to take that to the ground, but Jessica avoiding that takedown, and she'll end this in a dominant position. Wow, what a round from our newcomer, Jessica Pryor. You
know, the ladies never cease to deliver here at the U. I think these women are exciting, and they're not afraid to bring it on, and that's what they've done. Jessica seems really calm, and she seems to be playing her game, and that's stopping Yumi's game a little bit.
What do you think must change for Yumi here in round number 2 to turn the tide?
Well, just like I said, I think I would go to the ground. If I'm, and Yumi has a great jiu-jitsu background, I'm more comfortable on the ground. Jessica seems to be controlling things a little bit standing up, so maybe to get some confidence back and to win the next round, which Yumi has to do, I'd go to the ground. Test her there.
Jessica Pryor getting a little bit of advice from her coach. You know, I think the advice has got to be keep that distance and keep throwing the way you're throwing.
Yeah,
those kicks are really landing and landing hard.
Those kicks were landing. I think the advice to Jessica is keep doing what you're doing. Keep throwing those kicks. Those are what is going to win you the next round.
Now I'll tell you right now, here is what makes a fighter. How does Yumi Matsumoto respond to that adversity from round number 2? I'm going to tell you what, I bet she comes right forward.
I agree. I don't think that we're going to be lacking for action. And here she goes.
And there's Yumi trying to throw punches and kicks of her own, but a couple of body shots lands early from Jessica Pryor.
Yeah, and I think this is where Yumi needs to maybe strengthen her technique to catch up with her aggression, because she is just going straight forward and throwing those haymakers, as opposed to maybe being a little bit more tactical against Jessica, who is controlling the action with her technique.
Now you gotta notice, these are a lot of knees to the body that Jessica's been throwing.
Yeah, and
those are gonna take their toll.
They are gonna take their toll, and it's pretty hard to regain your composure after eating, I don't know, 5-6 knees.
Jessica Pryor clinching up, Yumi Matsumoto trying to reverse position. Doing a good job so far, limiting most of the damage, but Jessica has been really, really powerful in these close quarters. Now here's the question. We're gonna see a little bit of what Pryor can do on the ground compared with the more experienced jiu-jitsu game of Matsumoto.
Yeah, and Yumi needs to show what she can do here, that she's really well versed on the ground, and needs to show her skill and kind of even the playing field with Jessica.
Look at Yumi throwing a high guard up there, trying to get some sort of submission, controlling the wrist here of Pryor.
It's a good thing. She needs to control the wrist and maybe get Jessica back down a little bit lower, because she's giving her too much room to throw those shots from the top. I'd try and knock her off her feet if I wanted to stay on the ground, or I'd get up.
Matsumoto trying to gain purchase on one of those hands. You know, definitely taking some strong shots, but now she's back to her feet, back in that clinch. There is no quit in Yumi Matsumoto.
There is no quit in Yumi Matsumoto, and it doesn't look there's any quit in Jessica. She's going to keep coming forward. Yumi's going to have to get out of this clinch and set up her shots a little bit better than she has been.
You know, one thing to say about Jessica is the calmness in her demeanor.
Absolutely.
She is so focused, so measured. She hasn't she hasn't done that more amateur move of when you see someone hurt, really trying to overpress and burn yourself out. She's weighing her options quite carefully.
She's absolutely weighing her options quite carefully. She's being tactical. She's not burning herself out. She was really smart about where she wanted to be on the ground. If I know my opponent is a good jiu-jitsu fighter, I'm not going to go into a rolling match with her. I'm going to try and stand up and punch her exactly like Jessica did. I think Jessica is really playing her game well. She's incredibly smart, and that lends to her incredible history and being able to stay calm, which is bigger than anything else in a fight.
You got to think that Yumi is at least two full rounds down here. Probably gonna have to go for a finish to find a way to end this fight. What does she need to do to get on the inside? Because they've been getting into that grappling, they've been getting into some clinch work, but so far not making their way to the ground very much.
Right. If she's going to clinch with her again, she needs to be on the outside of the cage. She needs to be doing the dirty boxing, maybe a couple body shots, use those knees, and then go to the ground. Yumi's got to control this and play her game as opposed to reacting to Jessica fighting her game.
Go check it out. They have fight
round number 3 on its way here as they lock up the cage. Jessica Pryor in our blue corner, Yumi Matsumoto in the red.
You know, to Yumi's credit, she does not look phased at all. A lot of fighters, when they are down 2 points in a fight and they come into that third round, you can see it on their face. I don't see it on Yumi's face.
Yumi still, and now look at this, Yumi trying to be first, and I bet you that's part of what the corner said to Yumi was be first, make contact, don't wait and react for a powerful striker like Pryor to put her hands on you.
Absolutely. Coaches are always going to say get off first, because then you are in control. Being a defensive fighter is a very specific technique that not everybody has.
Both fighters circling, waiting for their moment. Pryor again throwing those kicks to the body and to the outside of the leg. Yumi nearly catches that one there, but Pryor not just strong in the kicks, but she's a couple times now been able to power her way out of that caught leg.
I think she's using her slight height advantage over Yumi to her advantage, which a lot of times doesn't always happen, but it seems to be working well for her here. And, you know, I've said it before, I'm really concerned with Yumi closing her eyes. I think that that's something that she needs to be careful of.
They back out again. Jessica Pryor slowing her pace a little bit here. Yumi doing nothing of the sort. You know, Yumi's got 45 seconds left to finish this fight. I think she knows that, and she's trying to get in there and land a right hand.
Sure, I think Yumi is sticking to what's comfortable for her, and that is being aggressive and coming straight up the middle, as opposed to maybe circling a little bit and trying to catch Jessica in a Muay Thai kick or a punch. And here she needs to get off that cage. It's not doing her any good letting Jessica push her up against the cage like that.
19 seconds left, another outside leg kick from Pryor. That front kick nearly catching Yumi clean, but as she closed the distance, helped avoid the real damage there.
Right.
You know, this is probably going to be a decision here for Jessica Pryor, but you have to respect the tenacity, the toughness, and the endurance of Yumi Matsumoto.
Yumi fought that fight till the end, and I think Jessica was just a better fighter in the cage tonight and was a little bit more experienced, and that helped her.
Well, a really exciting outing. You know, I think I saw more kicks landed in that fight than I've ever seen in the Youth of MMA cage.
I agree. I think Jessica was all kicks tonight, and even now, she's like, this is a walk in the park for her. She looks like she's ready to read a book and, you know, have a casual conversation.
Well, like we said before, no stranger to competition. She was competing internationally in Taekwondo at 16. And look at this. Does not matter how that fight goes. Yumi is the U of MMA world champion dancer. And now Yumi and Jessica dancing. And here's the true image, is Yumi has tons of energy and Jessica's like, get off me, I don't want to do that. I'm too tired to dance.
I think that's so Yumi, though. I mean, what a great attitude to have, knowing that you probably just lost that fight on points, and she's having a good time. That's what Yumi does, and that's why she's always fun to watch.
You know, if there's one thing I would want is for every fighter to have a mentality like hers.
Absolutely.
And every fighter to have the technique of Jessica Pryor.
Yeah, no doubt.
So we didn't really see a lot of variety from Jessica. We saw some of the ground game, a little bit of the clinch work, but I think that if that ground game and that wrestling of Jessica is up there as high level, is anywhere near the level of her striking, you know, there's a reason why she got a tryout for the Ultimate Fighter.
I agree with you. I don't think you walk into the Ultimate Fighter just because you happen to be a really big MMA fan. She was there for a reason. She was there because she was a contender, and there might have been a couple people that were stronger than her, but Jessica, I think, is somebody that we're going to want to watch in the future.
You gotta wonder how long a fighter of her skill and at the same time of her age is gonna hang around in the amateur ranks, because 28 years old, definitely still young, but not young.
No, but you're right. In this world, she's gonna have to make a move soon. I would imagine that she's just trying to kind of tighten up her game a little bit before she makes that jump.
Well, now for our official decision, let's head to the cage with Salvador Arellano.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action, all 3 judges scored the fight the same, 30-27, for your winner by unanimous decision, out of the blue corner, Jessica Pryor!
Wow, guys, can we hear it up for that fight one more time? Congratulations, Jessica. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think we saw the most dynamic and best striking of the night from you. How do you feel?
I agree with that statement. Yumi as well, that girl is freaking tough. Thank you to all my friends, basically who will become my family down here. I appreciate you guys coming out. Thank you a whole hell of a lot to Brandon Bender. And my boyfriend, James Mutosri, always there for me.
So, right here. So this being your second fight, it didn't really look like it was your second fight. You look so composed and you're moving so well. What do you want to do from here? Are you going to stay in amateurs longer? I know you tried out for the tough. So what do you think in your future?
Definitely more amateur fights, for sure. I have too many things to work on to even think about going pro yet. So a whole heck of a lot of more training to do.
You want to thank any sponsors? Thank your team?
Oh, my team for sure. Brandon, been there for me for like the last 3 months for sure, and James, you're always there for me, so. And all my friends who came out. Love you guys.
And let's hear it up for Yumi one more time, because great fighter and also great dancer. Thank you, Yumi. Perfect, thank you very much. Great fight. That was awesome.